Hey guys, I'm Eric,
And I'm David.
and welcome to what's apparently a very star-spangled edition of Under the Arc Sports, going off of Dave's bandana there. Today we're going to talk about Mizzou basketball. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook and on Instagram. So, Mizzou is coming off a huge week, wins over Kentucky and Alabama, and they're in the top 10. They are number 10 in both the AP and coaches poll that got released on Monday. So, Dave, what do you think overall about this stretch that Mizzou's just finished up?
They've really proven their point in how solid of a team they can be. I still don't think we've seen their best basketball from beginning to end, and we can get into that in a little bit. But they've definitely proven that they can string these wins together, and they should be in the top four at least in the SEC.
Yeah, I agree with you that they've not put a full 40 minutes together, maybe all season. But yeah, Mizzou entered this past week with big opportunities in front of it. The first game, David, was against Kentucky, who is, well, they're awful this year, but it's still Kentucky, so it's always a big game.
Yes, and to Kentucky's credit, they played Mizzou hard. And again, kind of what I was going on to with a tale of two halves with Missouri. Mizzou went up 40-27 in the first half, and then were actually outscored 43-35 in the second half. So that
I think it was like, I'm going off memory. Wasn't it like a 13-2 run or something to start the second half?
Yeah, I will say they brought it within two, and then Mizzou spread it out to about 5 or 6, and they never got close again after that. They just held them at arm's length. So to Missouri's credit, they did a good job of like pulling themselves together and finishing strong. However, they could have beaten them by way more and made a statement game. But of course, they had that slow start coming out of halftime, and that didn't happen. Some notes in that game: Drew Smith scored 26 points and was basically the team leader in scoring. Normally, Tillman gets involved a lot, but they were double and triple teaming him that game, so you had to have some guards and other players step up. I guess one of the most important things in that game ended up being the three-point shooting. You had Drew Smith, who was 2 for 3, Pinson, who was 2 for 3, and Mark Smith even finally got involved a little bit and was 3 for 5 from behind the arc. So that was a good positive. Probably the negative, and one I'm starting to notice more and more of a trend on, and you can comment on that too, is Tillman at the free throw line was 2 for 7. Like, he has to get better at that, especially because he's a focal point of our offense, and it's starting to turn into like a hack-a-shack situation where they just knock the living daylights out of him and put him at the line because he can't hit a shot.
Yeah, that I think it's one of those where in a late game situation where the score is tight, I think Konzo Martin's going to have to think about how badly he wants Tillman out there. Maybe rotate him out, get a free throw shooter in there, and then put Tillman back out there on defense. It's going to be a tough call.
To his credit, offensively, I was going to say, to his credit, though, offensively, he's strong enough. He's getting the and ones. He's just not finishing.
Yeah. No, but for the Kentucky game, I think it's worth noting that they are the type of team that Mizzou has struggled with for a lot of the season. They were, they're a long and super athletic bunch of guys, right? So Mizzou struggled with that. That's part of why they got housed the first time they played Tennessee. It's part of why they struggled against Auburn, aside from Sharif Cooper.
And Mississippi State, too.
Yeah. But they, 75 points. That, with a Konzo Martin defensive-minded team, 75 points should win you a lot of games. Now, taking a look at Saturday's game against Alabama, Bama came in 10-0 in SEC play. They were 15-4. And, there was a lot of talk about Bama having been just being ridiculous, historic changes, and this, that, and the other. Joe Lunardi had put them at a number 1 seed in his bracketology. And then for about 35 minutes, Mizzou blew their doors off. It's interesting when you look at the box score. If you're a Mizzou fan, you're saying, okay, we got Bama coming in here. They're really good. Mizzou's going to shoot 3 out of 20 from 3. They're going to turn it over 16 times. And they're only going to go 9 out of 14 from the free throw line compared to Bama getting 21 attempts. You're thinking, ruh-roh. But those are the stats. And Mizzou had a 22-point lead, and then the last 6 minutes happened. That was
one field goal in the last 6 minutes.
Disaster. And I think most of the blame goes on Conzo Martin. I really do. What I saw was at about that 6-minute mark, he just took the air out of the ball. And they were just trying to kill clock. With a team that likes to run as much as Mizzou does, it just doesn't work. I think you have to wait until really after the 4-minute under 4 TV timeout to start doing that. Because one possession can wipe out more than 10% of the remaining clock. You can't do it with 6 minutes to go.
Especially
against a team like Alabama that hits so many threes with regularity. That they hit 9 threes against Mizzou, which is right at or maybe even a little bit below their season average. So why would you do that? Why would you just stop attacking against a team that can score points in bunches? And if you're going to do that, you've got to be able to coach your guys up to say, okay, we call a timeout and get everybody back into attack mode. Instead of attack mode, it was panic mode. And it was a struggle for Mizzou to even get a shot up for a bunch of its possessions at the end of the game. And it was just ugly to watch.
It came down to Pinson dribbling the ball for 28 seconds and chucking up a 3 because nobody was moving.
Yeah, it was just terrible to watch, and it became predictable. I do want to talk about the final inbounds play. There was 4.1 seconds to go, and Mizzou had a 3-point lead, and Alabama was inbounding under its own basket, able to run the baseline. I hate the decision to not have somebody guarding the inbounds pass. I know that you can. The Alabama guy was able to run the baseline, so it's harder to stay on them. But if you're making that Alabama guy run the baseline to get a pass off, they did a baseball pass. It's a hard ask to ask the inbounder to run the baseline and then throw a baseball style pass 3/4 of the court. Instead, he was standing there just looking, had his legs under him, and he was able to take his time and throw it. And it led to a terribly defended pass where the Bama guy caught at the top of the key wide open. That was the second part. Why he was able to catch that with minimal effort is beyond me. And then once he had it, why was there not a foul? I'm a huge proponent of under 6 seconds. And you're up 3, you foul as soon as the other team has the ball on your side of half court.
See, I disagree with you on that. I don't think you should foul, and it paid off for Mizzou that they didn't foul that time.
Oh, it worked out.
I mean, you can go either way, but against a 3-point shooting team like them, they can lift and rise at any second. So even if you're going in for a foul, they could turn around and try to get that jump. That's a 3-point foul free throws you have to make then.
Exactly. See, what I think, the way I had it playing out in my mind is Mitchell Smith guarding the inbound, just chasing him down the baseline if the inbounder's running. And the point guard has to run and catch the ball closer on their own side of half court. He catches it, and then he has to take a dribble or two to get across half court. That's taking 1 or 2 of the 4.1 seconds. And then the instant he breaks the half court line, just mug him, foul him so that he's not able to get a shot up. That's how I would have had it done. But like you said, it worked out for Mizzou. They got the 68-65 win. They are now 6-3 in the conference, second place by themselves, and in the top 10 for the first time in almost a decade.
Good news all around.
Yeah. Now, looking forward, Mizzou on Wednesday will take on the Ole Miss Rebels down in Oxford, and that's a tricky game. Mizzou is definitely the more talented team, but if they come out sloppy or get full of themselves, seeing them in top 10, Ole Miss can beat them.
Well, and it's worth noting Ole Miss has looked fairly decent in the last 2 games they played too. So it could be one of those you got to be careful type trap games.
Yeah, wins over Tennessee and Auburn, I want to say.
Yes. So
and then on Saturday, the 13th, Mizzou has their second game against the Arkansas Razorbacks. You'll remember back second game of the conference season, Mizzou went down to Vietnam, and they kind of smashed Arkansas for the most part.
You think Tillman for that one?
Yeah. So Arkansas is going to be motivated for some revenge, but these 2 games they're the first 2 of a chunk of the schedule where it kind of opens up for Mizzou, and there's an opportunity for them to pile up some wins.
Yeah, I agree. And my biggest concern is kind of what happened both in the Kentucky and Alabama game is closing out the game strong. They seem to be running out of gas within the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, and they can't be doing that because that's how they're going to end up like giving one away.
Yeah, we will see though.
Anyway, that's all we have today for Under the Arch Sports. Please make sure to check us out later this week as we talk about the St. Louis Cardinals and their potential lineup for the upcoming season. Anyway, thank you for watching.
See you guys.